Disclaimer. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only and it's 100% opinion-based content. Nothing being said about any award or player should be taken as facts. For all medical topics, you should always speak to a licensed medical professional at all times before considering any opinion. Viewers and listeners' discretion is advised.
Welcome to the Esports Lounge Podcast. This podcast is a long-form conversation hosted by Dr. VTAC with the top guests in the world of esports, bringing you everyone from owners, pros, semi-pros, former pros, and content creators of many games. So let's give it up for the one and only Dr. VTAC. Dr. VTAC.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Esports Lounge Podcast. It's been a while, and I know it's been a minute, and I am truly sorry that it's taken so long. And I hope everybody had a good Christmas and also a good New Year. But there is some news that I have to, say. And the news is that this is going to be my last podcast. And for my last podcast, I wanted to bring a personal good friend of mine. This friend, I known him for quite some time, known him for quite a few years. A really, really good person, a phenomenal human being. He's a professional skateboarder. His name is Christian. Christian, what's up, man?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Doing good. So, Christian, for the people around the world that's listening to the podcast, can you give them a little bit of brief about your biography?
I grew up in South Florida, spent a lot of my time, either skateboarding or, working on boats. I still work on boats now. Now that I'm older, still skateboard a whole ton. Ride for a few different companies, still doing contests. But yeah, that's pretty much what I have going on.
Yeah. And also you're a hardcore gamer, huh?
Yeah. When I was younger, I definitely gamed a lot. Siege was definitely a huge game for me. I've been playing since it came out. Not playing as much lately. I've been focused a lot on trying to get money and focus on adulting things. But I still game. I've been playing a bit of Cyberpunk 2077. That's been my new hook for the last couple weeks. Phenomenal game. Really, really enjoying it right now.
Wow. Now with your new PC that you got, how's it running?
Oh yeah, phenomenally. I run. I should have got this way sooner. I booted up Siege and I run steady 550 frames in game, and it's a game changer for sure.
Wow, it's freaking awesome, man. Yeah, because I remember you were like, what should I get? What GPU? Tell me, I'll go ahead and buy it. And I thought you were going to get a PC in I think it was in October or November. And then you wanted to wait a little bit more or before that. I forgot. I think it was in October.
Yeah. I mean, I've wanted a PC for a long time, just never had, an opportunity to get one. But I've been working a lot and had some money to spare. So, and it's also Black Friday, so I saved a good bit when I went and got it.
Yeah, that was a really good deal, man.
Yeah, it was killer.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna love it. What other games you play? I know Cyberpunk. Isn't that like a really high graphic demanding
It is.
game?
It is. It's pretty heavy. I mean, my computer runs it perfectly fine. The outside of Siege, like when I was younger, I played, a lot of Call of Duty, all the old Halo games. I played every Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed's probably one of my favorite series of all time. But yeah, the new computer handles it like a beast. I'm kind of tempted to re-download all my old games and play it again. One of the ones I'm thinking about installing right now is Elden Ring. I've beat Elden Ring a ton of times on console, but now that I have a PC, I feel like I need to run it back on max graphics.
Oh yeah, cause didn't you play Elden Ring on your Xbox?
Yeah. I think I beat it like 7 times or something.
But you don't
have like that.
No, the Xbox you got is not the Series X, or is it the Series S?
So I got the Series S, not too
Okay.
long after it came out. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I have for the kids, the Series S. Because my son only plays Fortnite. I mean, I'm like, why get him something really? He has a PlayStation 5 that he hardly ever plays with. He plays more on the Nintendo Switch than anything, and he plays with his friends, on the Xbox Series S. Now,
Yeah,
if
but
he was like into really these high demanding games with a lot of graphics, then I would probably, okay, let's get you an X then.
yeah, I personally wish I got the X. I like having the hard copies of games.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, yeah, I miss it. But yeah, I had the Xbox One, forever, and then I sold my 360 off. I still have the one now, and I actually use the OG Xbox One more than I use my S. Um,
Wow.
the old Xbox 360 had a bunch of different kind of connections in the back that the Series S doesn't have. So
Correct. Yeah.
I'm able to have like surround sound and a bunch of other like speaker systems connected to it. So that's the one that I predominantly use since I switched to PC. The S just kind of sits and collects dust now.
Well, you know what they did to that sucker is really neat. I found it in Amazon. You could connect a little portable monitor to it
Really?
on the S. Yeah, so you could it folds, so it's like really cool, and it looks like a little miniature laptop. Just converts to like a little miniature laptop.
Does it have like a battery pack or something attached to it?
No, it connects to the back. Remember, you got to plug it in, to play it. But
Yeah.
it's a little foldable, and you could take it, put it in your backpack when you need to travel. I don't know. You know what? I may be wrong. I think there's one that has a battery pack to it. I think you gotta check Amazon. I know Amazon sells it, but I know they sell the little monitor. It's really really cool. It attaches and it connects to it, and it's just like it converts it into like a miniature laptop, so you could play your games on when you're in the travel.
Dude, that's sick. I've
Yeah.
never, I've
So
never, I've never seen that before. But if there's one with the battery pack, I would actually consider buying that because that makes sense. I can like play on the plane.
yeah, play on the plane while you're traveling,
Yeah,
or when you're going to over there in Colorado, so you could go snowboarding.
yeah, man. I'm going snowboarding in like 4 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. I have a trip booked for the 31st, and I'm gonna be out there for like a little over a week, and then I have another trip at the end of February. Going back, gonna go snowboard again.
Well, I talked to Summit 1G about you because he loves snowboarding. So he goes up over there in Colorado once in a while to go snowboarding. So, and I told him, I said, hey, you should hook up with my friend. He loves snowboarding. He's a pro skateboarder. I mean, if he's not on tour or doing some things, whatever you do, those competitions, I'm sure you'd be snowboarding. And he was like, oh, really? So I'm like, yeah, man. So I'll make sure to let him know that your dates. You guys probably meet up. I mean, he's really cool. Some is like a really, really cool guy. Really cool guy. I didn't know he was into snowboarding that much, but he loves it.
Yeah, man, it's a lot of fun. It's probably my second favorite sport. It's basically skateboarding, but on snow, which so it hurts a lot less when you fall. And
Oh
for
yeah.
for me, I find it quite a bit easier just because I'm attached to the board.
Hmm.
There's a lot of less room for air, and so it just came really naturally. It took me like probably 2 or 3 days to get comfortable, and then after that, I could do everything that I could do on a skateboard on the snowboard too.
After 3 days.
Yeah, yeah. I just had to get comfortable like riding because turning and stopping is similar but different.
Correct.
So I had to get comfortable with that. But once I got comfortable with that, I could do everything. And every time I go, I still get better and learn something new. But yeah, snowboarding's awesome. I would do that all the time if I lived in a place where I could.
Wow. Now, question for the fans out there. Um, What is it? How is it that you got into professional skateboarding?
Um, how did I start skateboarding, or how did I get like sponsored?
Well, how you started? How did this journey begin?
Um,
At what age and how it went, and then from that to getting sponsored, and all this stuff.
I think I started when I was like 10 or 11, somewhere in there. One of the neighbor kids had gotten a skateboard, and he was a good buddy of mine, so I had to get one too. Funny enough, the skate shop that we went to where I bought my first skateboard, I'm now the general manager of. So funny how that kind of came around. But yeah, no, I got a skateboard, went to the skate park with my friend, and from there I loved it. I'd played other sports, but I was always like, as a kid, I never liked listening to anyone. And the nice thing about skating is there's no like right or wrong way to do it. There's tons of different styles of skating, and you can choose, what you want to do, what you want to learn, and no one can tell you like that's right or wrong. And so I loved it, and I very quickly was not interested in doing anything other than skating. I still played soccer, played a little bit of lacrosse. But yeah, skating took my heart, and then just because I loved doing it, I ended up getting good at it. And one day I was going to get Chick-fil-A, and I saw these guys skating, and I just it was during no, this is probably like 2 or 3 years before COVID. But I saw these guys skating, and I just pulled over, and the guy, like, as a joke, like, was like, do a nollie tray flip as a joke, and nollie tray flips are a really hard trick. He said that because he expected me not to be able to do it, and I didn't even have shoes on. I was barefoot, so I didn't end up doing that. But I ended up doing a different trick that was also hard, but would mess up my feet less because the grip tape is really abrasive.
Yeah, sandpaper.
But yeah, he was super impressed, and he was like, oh, like, holy shit, like he didn't expect it. And then he went to his car, and he like popped the trunk. He had this like Cadillac Eldorado with these red leather seats. It was like from the 70s. It's actually a really cool car. But he had tons of shoes in the back of his car, like still in the boxes, and he just popped open a box of Nikes and was like, here, bro, put these on, go skate that handrail. And I was I was like, all right. So I just threw on these dudes, like, gave me a free pair of shoes, and I ended up getting a line, like a 3-piece. I did like 3 tricks in a row. The middle trick I hit the handrail, and then from there that was my first skate sponsor. He owned a company. He actually has a really large YouTube channel now. It's called Jack Morgan RLP. But he had a skate company called Skate House, and that was my first like real sponsor. I had other companies like give me free things prior to that. But that was like the first team I was on, and there was a bunch of older guys who were in their late 20s, mid 30s. So they all were 10 plus years older than me at the time. And they were phenomenal skateboarders, and we started traveling and filming, and over time I started to accrue more and more sponsors just from going and doing contests, or people would see my stuff on Instagram, and yeah, now we're here.
Wow, it's freaking crazy, man. That's wild.
Yeah.
Thank God you were hungry that day, man.
Yeah. It was the world works in strange ways, man.
Yeah. It's like, man, I'm freaking hungry. I don't know why. I just ate some. Well, you know what? I feel like getting Chick-fil-A. Wow, that's crazy. That is crazy. Now, do you do any half pipes or anything like that, like the famous Tony Hawk does?
No, I don't. I'm
Okay.
assuming you're asking because of my latest post. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I think I saw something on Instagram. You did something
Yeah.
out there.
So one of my buddies who grew up in my hometown is a phenomenal like half pipe. We call that vert skateboarding. And he actually skates Tony Hawk's ramp all the time. But yeah, he's on the U.S. Olympic team as of this year, so watch out for Reef in the Olympics. But yeah, I went out and he invited me to come skate. He has an outdoor street park which I skated for a little bit, but when you're around skateboarding like that, sometimes you just want to sit down and watch and appreciate it. You don't get to see that level of skateboarding all the time. So yeah, I filmed the whole video. It's up on YouTube, also on my Instagram page. But yeah, no, I can't do that whatsoever. That's like it's a whole different sport, Like Reef can't kickflip on flat ground, but he can go up a vert ramp and kickflip 10 feet into the air and go back in. It's a totally different technique. So it doesn't translate. I'm a street skateboarder, so I do mostly like rails, ledges, stairs, gaps. My favorite thing personally is rails. I've always really enjoyed skating rails. But yeah.
It's freaking dangerous, man. I've seen some crazy stuff. I'm like, ouch.
Yeah,
don't mess up.
It's calculated danger. It's I know what's within my abilities and what's not. So I look at something and I go, I either 100% can do this, or I really think I possibly could do this, or I just don't try it. If I look at it and I'm like, oh, like if I try this, like I'm definitely gonna get severely injured. We just pass on it. But when you've been doing it for so long, like how well you can do certain tricks and probably how many tries it's going to take. So like if I'm skating a big stair set, I'm not going to do a trick that I can't do almost every try. Because if you don't land on your board, you really hurt your feet. Like you don't want to bail. The only time skateboarding doesn't hurt is when you actually land the trick. And probably 80% of skateboarding is not landing your trick. So, you're smart with it, and it's calculated to an extent. Obviously things happen. Sometimes you mess up the trick a little bit and you just land in a way you're not able to bail. And I'm sure you've seen all the videos of people getting severely hurt skating. But that doesn't happen, that often, as long as you're smart. I haven't actually, no, that's a lie. I broke something last year. I broke my heel. I went on a skating trip to Europe and I broke it on the first day. But prior to that, I hadn't broke anything since 2021. So I had a good 3-year run of no actual injuries. It's calculated most of the time.
Wow, that's crazy. That's great. Now, question: do you see the skateboarding industry growing, or do you see it, declining? Now that like a lot of these popular skateboarders are retired. I mean, you don't hear so much the new people that much anymore. Who's replacing Tony Hawk? These famous names. You hear their name and it's like automatically they know who he is. But who's replacing him? Who's out there?
So Tony Hawk, he was a vert skateboarder.
Correct.
Vert skateboarding kind of died. It's not as prevalent as it used to be. That used to be like the big thing.
That was in the 80s. That was
yeah, that was it. And it's still there's still people who do it, and there's still, it's in the Olympics. It's a sport. And it's in the X Games still, but the main one is street skateboarding. Yeah. And right now there's a lot of good people, but Japan has really taken over the skating industry. They have a program there where they take kids when they're 6 years old, and they find kids who play sports, and they'll get the best little kid at whatever sport it is, and they'll make them skateboard every single day for 6 to 8 hours a day, starting when they're 6 years old. And they have to, and it's rigorous. They treat it like the military. And so now pretty much Japan is winning everything. all of, like, if you look at the top list of like any of the last major skate contests, the top
Mm-hmm.
20, like 16 of them are all Japanese. So no one can really pronounce half their names. At least, the people who live over here, they have not all of them. Sora Shirai, he's probably one of the best ones out there right now. There's another guy named Yuto Horigome, who are absolutely insane. They do tricks that no one else can do. Like, they each have, like, they
Their
do
signature
things.
trick.
They have multiple, though. They'll have a
Oh,
signature trick, and then they'll have 10 other variations that they can do of that trick, and um, it's insane to watch. Skateboarding is evolving at a crazy rate. So are all the other action sports, including snowboarding.
correct.
People are always inventing new tricks and pushing the sport farther and farther. Um, and that's how it's always been. Even like even with like Tony Hawk, for example, when Tony Hawk started skateboarding, the reason, like, he got a lot of hate from the skate community because he was this like 14-year-old kid who was smashing adults that have been skateboarding for longer than he's been alive, and doing tricks that no one else has done. And that's why he was so famous. Tony Hawk invented over 100 skateboard tricks that had never been done. Um,
Wow.
and his pinnacle trick, the hardest trick that he ever did, was called the 900. Um, and it's two 360s and one more half turn, a 180. Um, and it took him his entire career. It was many, many years of him trying to land this trick, never could do it. He landed one at a contest. They gave him like a ton of extra tries. He tried to land it, missed it, his turn was over, and they just were like, go again, go again, go again, because no one's ever done anything like this. Um, and he eventually landed it at this contest. It was live on TV, and it was like the biggest moment in skateboarding history for years. Well, if you go on Instagram now, you'll see 9-year-old Japanese kids doing the 900,
Oh my God.
which took Tony Hawk his entire career. It took him his whole career and 30 years almost of skateboarding. Well, at that time he was probably 20 years into skateboarding.
Correct.
But it took him 20 years of dedication of being the best in the world to land this trick, and now little kids are doing it. And it's really interesting to watch the direction it's going in. It's becoming like skaters are finally starting to care about their health. Like the top of the top people, they all work out, they all eat extremely healthy. And that's new to skateboarding. I'm sure
Yeah.
the skateboarding has the reputation, the people being the opposite of it.
Correct. Yeah. No, that's true.
So it's really changed the game. And it's booming right now. Skateboarding is bigger than it's ever been, and it's pulling in a lot of money, in all areas. But that's how skateboarding's always been. It comes and it goes. Skateboarding was really popular in the 60s, then it died, then it got popular again in the 80s, then it died, and now, as of the last probably 6 years, it's started to really expand again. And people are just pushing the bar to new heights every day. So it's an interesting thing to see.
Yeah, I remember my first board was a Tony Hawk board. Oh my God, loved it. I mean, I was so young, and it was much wider. It was more comfortable to ride it. I mean, I tip my hat off to you and the guys that are into it, because your boards are a lot skinnier. They're more thinner than the ones I was used to. Ours was like a much wider and bigger, and I just like, you could fit your whole entire feet on it. But now this one is like, I don't know what made them change it. It was just, it's really confusing. I'm like, okay, I want to see the purpose. Why is it? Is this more thinner? It's like,
Well,
I
so
don't understand it.
it's specialized for what we are doing. When
Okay.
skateboarding was invented, it was invented by surfers in California. For like half the year, California doesn't get good waves, so you can't surf. So they took a piece of wood and they took the skates off the bottom of some roller skates and they put it on, a plank of wood and were riding down hills and pretending to surf. Then eventually skateboarding turned into, oh, we could ride this in a pool, like an empty pool. So then that's when you got those wider boards that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And those are perfect for, vert skateboarding or skating pools. But once you get into, what I do, which is street skateboarding, those really wide boards, the wider they are, the harder it is to flip the board.
True.
So, the style of board I ride is
heavier.
called a popsicle board, because they're shaped like popsicles. What you rode was, usually like a fish shape.
Correct. Yeah, it's like a fish shape. Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, my board, I need a nose on the front with like a concave to it, so that way I can pop tricks off both sides of my board. With the fish boards, it only had a tail.
It only had one tail. Yep.
Yeah, I have two, so we call that the nose and the tail.
Okay.
And so, they shrunk it down, made it a little thinner. Now, there's tons of different sizes of that board, so not all of them don't fit your feet. It's personal preference. It's not really based off your shoe size. There's people with big feet who skate the smallest boards because they like to flip the board as fast as possible. The thicker it is, the slower it flips. So it changes, where your feet need to be to do the tricks, and it's all just a personal preference thing. I ride an 8.5, which is on the thicker side of things. It's usually about as wide as people go. Some people ride a little bit bigger, but there's not really much demand for boards bigger than that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just, the boards evolve as the sport evolves. And, now vert skaters also use the popsicle shape like I do because they're doing flip tricks in the air. Back in the day, no one used to do flip tricks. When you were skating, people were just doing big airs and spins, essentially.
That's true.
So it's just changed as the sport has changed.
Wow, that's crazy. That is crazy to see how it evolved. I remember seeing on YouTube Lil Wayne, riding his board. I'm like, what the heck? This rapper is skateboarding? And he freaking loves it. Yeah, and I was like, okay, that's freaking cool. He likes that street boarding. He likes it.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Lil Wayne, he skates. A lot of the rappers actually skate. You'd be surprised. Not really any of them are any good. Lil Wayne's actually a professional skateboarder, which is kind of controversial in the skate community. But if a pro sells boards, they'll make them pro. So I forget what company Lil Wayne went pro for, but he went pro for skating like a year or two ago. But his skills are, I wouldn't say beginner, but I wouldn't say intermediate either.
Oh, okay. So it's like, oh, Lil Wayne, okay, sure, I'll give you the title. You're a pro. Here, take the label.
Well, all that means for the skate company is they can print his face and his name on skateboards.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm sure that
win for them.
Made him happy. It got him happy to do that.
Oh.
When I saw him on the video, it was actually, he was pretty decent. It wasn't that bad. But I didn't see some crazy, stunts, tricks that I could say like, wow. But he did some stuff that I know I can't do. A lot of people can't do.
Yeah, he's definitely not bad. He's definitely not bad. I was just saying it's controversial in the skate community, that topic anyway.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah,
that's wild. So no wonder when you go into do snowboarding, for you it's like a freaking breeze. It took you 3 days, but probably somebody takes like over months of practicing, not doing their stuff, because there is rails in snowboarding.
Oh yeah. I'll send you some videos later. I've grinded tons of rails, fallen trees, the whole the whole nine.
Fallen trees too.
Yeah. There's a mountain near where I used to live in Colorado. I used to live in a town called Leadville.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a mountain nearby that in the summer when trees fall, the people who work on the mountain, they'd set them up like rails in the woods. You just have to find them. But
Crazy.
yeah.
Are the sliding on a tree is a lot easier or more harder than the rails?
I don't know. It feels pretty much the same. The only difference with the trees is that you're in like the rails you hit on a snowboard are in a park essentially. So there's no like if you fall, you land on the snow. When you're grinding a tree in the woods, if you don't land with control, you're gonna smack into a tree or a rock or something else. Which I've never hit a rock, but I've definitely slammed into a few trees.
Jeez Louise.
But it feels the same pretty much. I mean, it's a little bit harder to do because it's not like perfectly set up. Like a park
Correct.
would be. Usually there's a ramp set up next to the rail that makes it super easy to get onto, and so when you're doing it in the woods, it makes it difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would assume that, if you're going to slide on top of a tree, probably be a little bit easier than a rail because it's more thicker, it's bulkier. Probably have a little bit more stability. I mean, I don't know.
Depends on the tree, I guess. I've never hit any super thick ones.
Oh, really? It's like small ones?
Yeah.
Ones?
Yeah, usually.
That's wild, man. So how many times you go on these tours, these events in a year?
I mean, it really just depends, unless you're like the best of the best skateboarder in the world, it doesn't pay the bills. The average skateboarder makes a couple $100 a month, maybe.
Really?
Most of the money that they make comes from like, let's say I get, in my case, I get 3 pairs of shoes every month, and the shoes retail for $120, right? Well, I'll sell them to my friend for 60. And, the better pro you are, the more, stuff you have. And yeah, you just sell it for below cost to like homies at the skate park, friends, so, your friends are getting a good deal. You make a little extra money. And, so, I work a lot. So it really just depends on like the timing of it. In the last 4 months, I've skated 3 contests. I got first at the FASL state finals. That was up in Tallahassee. I think that was like a month ago. I got 6th at Tampa. I skated their Harvest Jam, so that was around Thanksgiving. And then there's a local skate park near where I live called the Abacoa Skate Park, and they host a contest every year around Halloween, and I got first in that. But so that's what the end of my year looked like. It kind of just varies by year, and different contest strings will come through. Sometimes they'll host a contest once a month. Sometimes it's twice a year, and I don't have too much time to travel for contests anymore. So I usually just do stuff that's like within a 8-hour drive of my house. And then I still do skate trips. Like I go out and I film. Those aren't for contests though. It'll usually be like me and a small group of people, and we'll fly out to either like New York, Cali, or Colorado. Texas is actually really good too, but Texas is brutally hot. So Cali, New York, and Colorado are the main 3 for me. And I usually do those probably 2-3 times a year, and we'll go for like a week or 2. I did a month in Europe we're in 2025 now, 2 years ago. So that was a really big trip. And then this year I got to go, I got to skate in like Sweden, and went to Denmark and skated a little bit in London as well. So not super often, but often enough to where, I get to go and enjoy it, and I don't miss it.
Yeah, that's wild, man. That's a busy schedule, man. That's a busy schedule. Now, were you into the Tony Hawk games?
Not really. I grew up playing like Skate. There's a game called Skate, and then there's also Skate 2, Skate 3, and
Yeah, those. Well, I thought those were Tony Hawks. I didn't know. Skate.
no.
Yeah.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater. He had a ton of his own games. But it's totally different. Like format of game.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah.
So Skate 1, Skate. So I mean, sometimes you're playing it, you're like, I'd rather just do it in real life than play it. It's like it's just killing you unless it's really bad weather. Okay, but I know people that they're like that. They just like the sport they're into. Like NFL players, yeah, they'll play the NFL and they'll stream it for a little bit, or they'll put YouTube videos them playing, NFL games, but they just don't like it. They'd rather play something else because that's all they do. They say, why play it in a video game when I could do it in real life? That's what I do professionally in real life. And I was like, now, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely the same way. I have all the skateboarding games, but I definitely like never play them. Unless like I'm injured and I'm just like missing skating and need to scratch that itch somehow. I don't like watching sports either. I'd much rather play. Like if I watch football, it makes me want to go play football.
Right. If you're watching, you feel like, okay, let's get a ball. Let's go out and let's burn some calories. Let's throw some ball and run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, when you're doing your videos, your skateboarding videos, somebody there is recording you. You don't use these drones to record you?
No. I don't use drones. Most people don't use drones. Vert skaters do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that last video that I just posted, we had a guy there with a drone who was filming with it, but usually no. I've only ever had a drone film me once. For street skateboarding, it's not the best unless the drone pilot's really good. There's a pro skater named Nigel Houston. He has a part where he used some drone footage. But it's really difficult to film like that. So it's not really it's more expensive and it's harder to do. So it doesn't really make sense for most people.
Yeah, because you're all over the place, right? That's probably what it is.
Yeah. Well, with a vert skater, they're stuck on a ramp that's going back and forth. You just turn it left and right. You can put the drone in one spot. But with street skateboarding, you're rolling and tricks look better from certain angles, and depending on how you're filming, sometimes you want to be up close. If you're long lens, you want to zoom, and you can't really do that with the drone. Not to say that people don't use them in street skateboarding, but it's definitely like most people use like a big heavy duty camera. I have my own camera, and so if I don't have a filmer, I'll usually just give it to one of my friends and have them film. But yeah, I have a HPX 170, which is a popular camera to film on. It's an older camera, but the quality is really good. It looks like a giant telescope.
Yeah. Zoom in really good on that baby.
Oh yeah, you can. You definitely can.
Man, not to go off topics, talking about drones. You see all this craziness that's going on with these drones, man?
I've heard. I try not to focus on it too much, just because can't focus on the things you can't control. But yeah, dude, it's crazy. I know it only worries me because I'm sure you've seen what they're doing over in Ukraine with the drones.
Yeah, I saw that. That was freaking wild.
They're like, yeah, it's gnarly. They're strapping like bombs to them and blowing people up, and they have all these random drones coming over the United States now. It's crazy. It's really crazy to think about. I feel like we're on the verge of like a new technological boom. Like we had like the industrial age. Like I feel like we're about to be in like the golden age, where we get all this crazy technology coming out.
Here comes the AI evolution, the new technology, what's going on. It's the cyber wars and, stuff like that. It's like really wild. I mean, allegedly, it's, some people say it's the government. Some people say, no, it's the Japanese or the Chinese or it's this. And it's like, they don't know. I'm 100% sure, and this is my opinion, that the government knows. I mean, they got to know. They're not going to allow anything, in our airspace, to be monitoring or something. It could be them, it could be them in a form of distracting, get the media attention or something, get the people's attention while they're doing something else. It's really wild. Someone said that they could be, trying to find some type of missile or find something. I mean, I don't know. It's like really wild. It's like freaking scary sometimes. I know it kept Joe Rogan awake. He was freaked out. He was like really freaked out until one of his buddies that he brought on to the show was like, listen, trust me, we know the government knows everything.
I definitely think they do. They have to know, and I think in lieu of recent events, it's pretty clear that they have a large say on what the media tells us. Just because like when I started traveling more and like going to Europe, not in every country with the exception of the UK. I think the UK is just like the European America. But when I was going into all these other countries, I was hearing like viewpoints on the things America was doing that like I had never heard before, and it caught me really off guard. But in all the countries that I went to, I met people from all over. I met this guy from Moldova who actually, which is, in case you don't know, is the country that borders Ukraine and Russia. He had fled Moldova, moved to Italy, and he was like an Uber driver there, but he fled because of the war. And it seems that like all the countries over there have a completely different stance on the war with Ukraine and Russia than we do here in the States. And it was all things I had never heard, and I was like, oh, like that's so weird. You would think that we would hear that. But I'm starting to believe more and more now that our everything that we see on TV is controlled.
Oh yeah.
Because if they need us to back whatever they're doing, so that way they can do what they want to do. Because we're still a free country to an extent. But
right.
These politicians, they make so much money from these like behind the scenes deals, that I feel like they were really leaning into trying to just control everyone. And every time that we get close to like catching what's going on, I feel like the government always throws out something crazy. So, this is the second time that they've done this, but I don't know if you saw they were talking in court, and this was aired on TV, so you can actually go like watch our Congress talk about it. But they admitted that aliens are real, and that we have one of their spaceships, and they refuse to call them UFOs. They call them like UAPs, unidentified airborne projectiles, or something along the lines of that. I'm probably wrong, but they refer to them as like UAPs, and they like admitted aliens are real, and essentially that like all these countries are in like a race to reverse engineer the technology. And I don't know. I think
was in the news, or this was just like some channel on YouTube or something?
Well, I mean, you can definitely go on YouTube and find it. It was also like on every news channel. This was our Congress. They were having a congressional hearing.
That's crazy. When was this?
Within the last like couple months. You seriously didn't see this?
No, I didn't, man.
Oh my goodness.
Been so busy doing other things at work. I didn't even. I know there was a big dilemma, a big thing about the UFOs, and and like these military jet fighters seeing things, and they didn't know what it was, and these pilots were saying, hey, we see something, it's not normal, the way this UFO is maneuvering, says this is not one of ours, and etc. So they were just doing some big investigation. That's freaking wild, man. I didn't know that.
Yeah, this
That's
was like
crazy.
I'm pretty sure this was like the beginning of November.
Wow, I gotta check that out. I gotta take a look into it. You know what's really crazy? That the media will say certain things and they will just like, boom, stop saying it, and then go up to talk about different subject, and they move on. They don't keep tabs on it.
Well, they do it on purpose.
Yeah, do it on purpose. It's like really messed up. I mean, I think Trump kind of like exposed the media when he started saying, you're fake news, It's like, oh, wait one second, what's going on here? And I think on the topic, what you were trying to say, that in other countries, how they view America probably like really differently, because the news the report they're getting is totally different than what we're getting over here.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't see United States like, saints, and it's like Trump said once, they're like, oh, what do you think about Russia? And what do you think about this people? They're bombing and all this. And then Trump said, well, we're also not really that good either. you know? And it's like, oh, why? The reporter's like, why you're exposing us? It's freaking true. I mean, freaking Bush said, oh, Hussein has weapons of mass destruction and all this and that. And they couldn't find anything. Like, sir, we're not finding any weapons of mass. Okay, well, let's go to war. It's like, what? Oh my God. I think so much war could have been prevented.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, and I know we still have troops on the ground, but I know I used to play for that competitive siege team Technique, and one of the guys that was on that team was actually deployed on the border of Russia for the last however many months. But he just texted me the other day that he got told to pack up, and they're bringing him home.
Wow. And that Kamala said, oh, we don't have nobody out deployed and all that. That's when that famous video came out. These guys were recording the debate, and then they looked at each other and then, where the hell we're at right now? It was so funny. It's like, she's like, yeah, we don't have nobody. Nobody's at war. Everybody's at home, whatever. And it's like, oh, the freaking media lies so much. Right now, the media is gone so downhill ever since that now everybody getting their information is on X. They're getting their and now since Elon, took over, bought it, hey, freedom of speech is back, which is kind of like contradictory. I thought we always have freedom of speech, but there's the government put out, oh, well, there's misinformation. Well, there's misinformation about everything. How many times they said eggs are not good for you? Then they say eggs is good for you. Then they come back, well, science, recent research saying eggs is actually healthy. Well, 4 months down later, they come back, well, eggs is not healthy. It's like it goes on and on. Well, that's a misinformation. Tell us, is it good or not good?
I don't think they have any clue, to be honest. I don't.
Yeah.
I haven't watched the news in years, just because I'm not like I don't even want to hear it. Have you seen that video on YouTube where it starts out with one news channel and it's a guy like talking, and then they overlay like 30 other news channels that were all different news channels, but they said the exact same thing, word for word.
Yes, that is really crazy. I saw that, and they did that also. It's like all of them are saying exactly the same thing in different networks and everything. It's like whoa. It's like they're just told to say this, repeat the same exact, read the freaking script. go by what the script's saying, repeat it exactly word for word.
And they do. There's a video of Kamala. She was talking, and the camera like pans to the audience, and the you see them like as they pan over, you see them turn the teleprompter off. Like this, you can see the screen as it pans, and then like a second later, literally it cuts to black. They turned it off because they didn't want people to see that she was reading off the teleprompter.
Oh man, this world, man, it's gone freaking insane. I mean, now Trump is back in office. I notice a lot of people, even on freaking Twitch when they're streaming and they're gaming, now they feel a bit more free to say things that they couldn't say before. It's like freaking wow. It's like, okay, now we're free again. We have the freedom of speech. We could say this. Trump won. And it's like, it was really wild. Because back then there were certain things you couldn't say not even on Twitch. It was wild. You can't give a voice of an opinion or they'll ban you. I remember back then I went into somebody's channel and I said, this is back when Dr. Disrespect got banned. I said, what happened to Dr. Disrespect? Dude, he says, one more, if you ever say that name here, we're going to ban you.
What?
Said, I was like, what the heck? He said, that's a forbidden name. You cannot even type it down. Bro, then I said, I just asked what happened to him. Boom, I got temporary banned for like 5 hours. Just for asking the question, what happened? What was the big dilemma? What happened? You just can't. I was like, what the heck is going on here? So then I just went ahead, go to another channel, somebody else's channel, and repeat the same thing. I typed down the same thing. And the guy told me, hey, you can't mention that here. You can't mention his name. If not, you'll get banned. Come to find out, some people were telling me allegedly, because I'm not 100%, I never saw the email, that they were told that nobody cannot mention his name on chat. If not, that person could get banned. So they were like forbidden to mention his name. Allegedly, I don't know if it's true or not.
That's insane.
Yeah. So the freedom of speeches was very, very, allegedly was very limited on Twitch. But I know I got the boot in one, and then I was told not to mention his name. And I was like, I just want to know what the heck happened. How he got banned. This was years ago.
Yeah, well, that ended up coming to light anyway, didn't it?
Yeah, it sure did. I mean, still, I had an esports attorney on the podcast, and we talked about that. And it's everything ended up being a hearsay. My question was, why didn't the parents sue him? What happened? Probably she was of age of consent. We just don't know. I mean, I would assume the parents were like, hey, wait 1 second. This is our opportunity to make some millions and reach a settlement and say, hey, we want this amount and that's it. But there was nothing. He was never prosecuted. The investigators came in and they looked. There's just nothing there. The family never called the cops. She never called, allegedly, so I don't. But he never got prosecuted. So then probably there was nothing there. I think, in my opinion, he could have been flirting. That's what I think was. He was just being stupid. And probably that's what got him in trouble. That's what I think.
I don't know that much about the situation. I never looked into it. I just saw like the headlines of it. Yeah, so I don't want to say what I think it is because I really don't know.
Yeah, I that's why I say I just don't know 100%, but it's allegedly. I had a really good friend of mine, really nice guy, Robert Bowling. He was a creator of he was part of the dev group, part of the team that made Call of Duty 1, 2, and 3. And he's one of the big shots or owner of the Midnight Society games. And so Disrespect was the face of it as well for Midnight, and they had to say goodbye, part ways with Disrespect. So I had him on. I didn't want to touch too much of the subject with him because of legal reasons and stuff that he can or cannot say. But, you know, he just said, you know, we had to let him go.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing about those type of scenarios. Usually that's what happens. The companies just kind of want to clean their hands of the situation and move forward.
Yeah. A really legit nice guy. I think Robert Bolin is a really, really cool guy. So he's, you know, he still have Midnight Society. They're working on something. And then he's also into music, so he has his own label. He has a lot of, punk rock bands, really nice alternative music, really cool. And that's why I think I messaged you once about saying if you could get one of his bands out there to, you know, you could do some tricks and have their music on while you do your Instagram.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I think so that would be a way of you getting to meet the guy. He's a phenomenal, really nice guy. Really nice guy. Yeah, it's really, really cool. So yeah, man. This world is really crazy. It's going, I mean, I don't know, with the freedom of speech and stuff like that, I feel relieved now. But, you know, I still like on the edge. I just don't trust it, you know. Social media is crazy. All this stuff that they keep from us and they don't say. News media is going downhill. I think CNN is up for sale. I think MSNBC is up for sale. They just went totally just downhill after Trump won and all the stuff that's coming out. Because, you know, immediately when Trump won the first time, he's a racist. And I mean, it's the same story repeating over and over again. It's racist and racist and racist and racist. And I was like, how can he be a racist? I mean, this guy always hangs out with Don King. He had top friends, you know, in the music industry. He's friends with Mike Tyson. He knows Herschel Walker, a famous football player. I mean, and when he came to Puerto Rico, he, you know, did his golf course, which I used to work at the hotel right at that golf course and heard nothing but good things about him. You know, I was like, okay, wait 1 second. Something is not right here. Something is not clicking. I never heard of this guy being racist, you know. And then I think they burned their bridges. I think that's what happened. And then they burned their bridges. People are like, wait 1 second, something is not right. Let's listen to the conservative movement. Let's see what's going on and stop listening to the news and go on X and hear from the horse's mouth itself, you know. There's this person, I forgot what's her name. She says, I never said that. And she had to tweet it out and put it out there. Because the media said, oh, she disliked this about Trump. She says, I never said it. This is what I said. And she screenshot it. Boom, with the date and everything. And people were like, oh. And then that news organization had to take off what they posted. You got exposed and now you're deleting it. You know, so it's freaking crazy, man. This world is freaking crazy.
Yeah, the last handful of years definitely have been very interesting to watch. That's for sure. And hopefully we are on the better side now.
Yeah, hopefully. I think these next 4 years it's gonna be good. And with Elon Musk and Vivek, you know, so it's gonna be interesting. You saw what happened in New Orleans, right? Just happened with that bombing.
Yeah, well, I thought some car like drove through Bourbon Street and smacked a bunch of people.
Well, yeah, there was the one that also at a Trump Tower the Tesla truck. So the guy puts a whole bunch of stuff behind the Tesla truck and like explodes a bunch of fireworks. I don't know what the heck he put, and it exploded. You see the camera, boom, explodes. So Elon and Trump, they like to troll. I mean, these guys, that's one thing I like about them. They're down to earth. They don't act like politicians. They act like regular, like you and me. They start trolling. And Elon goes ahead and says something like, well, if the goofball or whatever, I forgot, gotta see it, he would have known that the Tesla truck doesn't explode side by sides. If it explodes, it will go upward. The explosion will go upward. This is why the Trump Tower doors didn't receive any damages. It was like really crazy because you see the Tesla truck is so freaking intact. It's like perfectly intact on the side. So the doors the explosion didn't explode by the side. So everything just went upwards. So it didn't do that much damage at all. And it was I mean, crazy. You got to see it. I mean, trust me, it's all over YouTube. You'll see the video. It's freaking wild.
That is wild.
Yeah, it is wild.
I've seen the video of the car blowing up.
If you look at it blowing up, and you'll notice at the end, the doors or everything is intact. Nothing, they didn't open up or nothing. The explosion and it goes sideways. It just went upwards. Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. I wish I could find a tweet. See, I'm not that famous podcaster that these like Joe say, hey, Jamie, go check this out. Tell me that link, read it. I do everything on my own here, and I have to find everything when I can. But yeah, man, Elon, he's a wizard. He knew what he was doing when he created that vehicle. So it's kind of wild. I'm optimistic. I'm, waiting for the future. I just really want our economy to do freaking good because everything is so expensive. So, I mean, it's just wild. I mean, everything, the inflations, everything is so expensive. You go to the store, you buy 10 things. So now Elon Musk saying, him and Vivek, they found so many things they're going to like cut. Why do we need this? Why is this, taxpayers, we're just paying so much money on so many things that it's just not even worth it.
We've been doing that. I saw that we spent like a couple $100,000 on studying the language of butchers in like Italy or something, and we spent like, it was either like 200,000 or 2 mil, one of the two, on like researching sex changes in frogs.
Yeah.
And like the list had like 20 different things on it. But it was ridiculous, the things that we're spending money on. And I'm sure that we have a ton of departments that are absolutely useless. I mean, if you look at how our government works, like it doesn't matter what you're doing, you get put on some ridiculous waiting list. It's so inefficient. I don't know if you're into firearms at all. But if you want to get a suppressor for your gun, you have to apply for a special tax stamp, and that could take between 2-3 months and a year before you hear back on whether you're approved or not to buy that item, which is kind of ridiculous, in my opinion, I think.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to take that long, because it actually, recently I met a guy who knows a guy, and he's like in the FBI, and basically you just tell him like, hey, this is my name, and I applied for this, like, what's the status on it, and it gets approved the next day.
Oh wow. Now, but to have suppressors, isn't it like, geez, don't you think like only people that that they know that you're not gonna cause, do anything kind of crazy with it?
So a suppressor is not like a video game where when you shoot it makes the bullet silent. Suppressors suppress the flash. So when you shoot a giant, the bullet puts off an explosion. There's a small explosion. That's what sends the bullet flying.
Mm-hmm.
And out the end of the muzzle, there's a huge flash, or almost like a flame that comes out.
Mm-hmm.
A suppressor suppresses the flame. They're not called silencers. Silencers is just a video game term.
Okay.
Now, they do have bullets that they're called subsonic bullets, and essentially they have way less gunpowder in them. The bullets fly way slower. Those don't have that cracking noise that you hear from, normal bullets. Every time you shoot a bullet, it breaks the sound barrier, and that's that super loud cracking noise that you hear, like the bang. And if you're shooting subsonics, it doesn't have that bang. And if you're using a suppressor and subsonics, then you can achieve pretty quiet shooting. That's safe for the ears anyway. But yeah, a suppressor's not. It's not like in video games where you just slap it on.
Okay.
Yeah, no. If you put a suppressor on a 50 caliber rifle, it's still gonna hurt your ears pretty bad.
Yeah, you're still gonna hear a sound.
No, it's gonna be loud. Everyone will be able to hear it, even if they're a good distance away. Like it's still really loud. It's all about the bullet type.
So that's, I assume that's what the military uses then, or the Navy SEALs, if they need a. They probably have something so totally different that you can't get it nowhere.
No. They use the same suppressors that we use. Now they have scopes. Like, I don't know if you ever played Battlefield or not, but like in Battlefield, when you have a sniper rifle and you're aiming, it'll say in like the top left of your scope the distance, and then you can like gauge, because there's multiple notches beneath like the main point on a sniper rifle. And that's for like shooting distance. So you'll have it zeroed, the main one, at like 100 yards, and 100 yards is good up to 200 yards. So if you have the scope dialed in for 100 yards, you can hit something every try at 200 yards. Once you get past that, you're going to start having to aim higher than the target, and there's these little notches that'll let you know, like, hey, this is 400 yards, this is 600 yards, this is 800 yards. This scope is identical to Battlefield. When you're looking at a target, it tells you exactly how many yards away. So if it's 587 yards away, you point at it, it tells you it's 587 yards away, and then the little dot moves to wherever you need to place the target on, so you can hit it at whatever distance. So it's like even a dummy who's never shot a gun before could hit something at ridiculously far distances every try. So like they have that, which we're not allowed to have, and they have contracts for certain guns, and those guns we aren't allowed to have. Not that we're not allowed to have, but the demand for the military is so high that they don't release it to the public. All that company is doing is pumping out guns for the military. So eventually we will get our hands on it whenever they move up. So like right now it's super easy to get an M4 or an M16. Which are really popular games in like Call of Duty Siege. It's Maverick's gun in Rainbow. He has an M4. That's not the standard duty rifle anymore, and it's very readily available to pretty much everyone. And the suppressors are the same. So the military uses the suppressors because like if someone is shooting at you and they have a huge muzzle flash every time they shoot, they're going to shoot one bullet and you're going to know exactly where they're shooting at you from, and then they'll be able to shoot back at you. The point of a suppressor is to eliminate the muzzle flash. It redirects the gas when you shoot the bullet basically back in your face, so it makes it less pleasant to shoot, because instead of the flash shooting out in front of you, it shoots back into your face. And that's usually like just like dust and gunpowder that's flying back at you, but that's what they use it for. If they are doing like some stealth mission, I'm sure that they have use for subsonic ammo, but subsonic ammo has way less range, way less penetration power. So from what I've seen, at least in my friends who are in the military, the suppressors are really just for muzzle flash, to reduce that, so that way the enemies don't know where they're at.
Oh, that's freaking wild, man. Wow, that's crazy. That's really crazy, man. I would have thought it would just muffle the sound to the point that you can barely hear it.
No,
I was like, oh, they're full of crap, man.
it's
Oh,
all
video
it,
game is Hollywood now.
well, it's not. So it's not just Hollywood. It's propaganda. So like, what do you? I'm just curious. What do you think AR-15? What does the AR stand for?
Isn't it automatic rifle?
No. No. So
AR?
the two terms that people think it stands for, which is what the media tells everyone, is assault rifle or automatic rifle. It stands for Armalite rifle. And the government calls it, or not the government, well, the government controls the news, in my opinion, but the news calls it an assault rifle or an automatic rifle. You physically, like right now, Jeff, you cannot go into a store and buy an automatic firearm. Every single gun that you can purchase is semi-automatic. You have to pull the trigger every single time you shoot it. Now, if you have like I think it's a class 4 gun license, which you have to go through a bunch of loopholes to get, and you have to give up some of your freedoms in exchange for this freedom. You're allowed to have a automatic weapon, but that's very difficult to get. I mean, you can have anything you want in the States. If you have the right licenses, you can have a tank and a rocket launcher if you wanted. But
That's
yeah, no,
crazy.
you can't have an automatic weapon. And so the news uses that word and basically is like, oh, like these are weapons of war, to scare people who are not privy of guns and gun knowledge, to push them away and go, oh, we need to ban these things. And the things that they're trying to ban, they're not just trying to ban the rifles, which, first of all, the rifles are the safest and easiest type of gun to use. Pistols are way less accurate. It's not the best choice to have a pistol. But they push this narrative so that way people will give up the freedoms, and their way of doing that the last couple of years has been doing magazine restrictions, right? So most states have restrictions on, they'll have to either have a 10 round or a 15 round magazine.
Hmm.
My pistol that I carry every day has a 17 round magazine. Mine's illegal. The Glock 19, which is one of the most popular, guns carried in the United States, like it's probably honestly the most popular.
Hmm.
That would be illegal in many states. My rifle illegal in many states, and they're trying to target all firearms and basically
Hmm.
restrict us to the worst ones, when those are proven to not really be effective and as easy to use. So it's a really weird situation, that we're in. At least in the firearm
Yeah.
industry has been going through a lot. There's a lot of laws that are trying to get passed, and a lot of laws we're trying to get overturned, just because a lot of it's just it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's really dumb. I kind of like, you know, always wanted something for home protection. My cousin that, lives not too far away from me, he was a former police officer in Puerto Rico, and then he also did things in the army, and he did stuff on in Afghanistan and stuff, and worked in security and stuff. So he was explaining to me, what is good. But he said, to always keep it secure, locked up, because we have kids who don't want it to have any accident. And he was just telling me, listen, pistol, like the way you're saying, pistol, handguns. If you don't know, it's not the safest in a way to protect yourself unless you're really good and at aiming. You got a good aim. But he said, if you want to go to safe route, shotgun.
Yep.
Go to shotgun. Trust me, just point and shoot. Somebody tries to break in, and point and shoot. Protect yourself, protect your family. So I'm thinking, doing everything, the correct process, filling out the paperwork, doing everything by the law, and probably get myself a shotgun.
Well, I'll drive up with you and we can go shopping. I got a spot near where you live that you'll like. They got a lot of options.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, shotgun's definitely the way to go. 100%. It's the easiest to use. It's going to have quite a bit more kick, than you probably think it would. I would say shotguns have the most kick at least, I'm not shooting any like crazy 50 caliber weapons, but shotguns are up there. Pistols are probably second, and then the last is the AR-15. The AR-15 has like no recoil to it. Super easy platform to use.
Wow.
But yeah, honestly, like you should be fine. You'll have to go in. You'll tell them what you want. You'll fill out the paperwork there. They send it off to the government. Government will get back within a handful of business days after they do like a background check to approve you or not. And as long as you don't have some crazy criminal history, which I'm sure you don't, you'll get approved within like 3 days. Go on a Monday though, because if you go on like Thursday, it's gonna take like 6 days.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I kind of want something to protect the home. I looked at some non-lethal weapons that throws out these balls, and when it hits the person, it's like really hard. They test them out, and it just explodes this powder substance that just burns the crap out of their face, and it burns. They breathe it in, they'll be coughing and puking and everything. And I was like, okay, well, that's pretty nice. But what I saw, the guy was testing it on this mummy type of thing, this dummy. He says, man, this will crack a person's skull. He said, it won't kill him, but it will, if it goes through the eyeball. He said, man, I don't know. This could probably do some serious damage permanently. But it's all like, I was thinking about one of those as well. But still if somebody wants to come and break into your home or whatever, they're not going to go with good intentions. They're probably going to be armed as well.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just play it safe and get something, like that. But yeah, I'll talk to you. Yeah, we'll hook up and
you help me buy a PC and I'll help you buy your first firearm.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Here's what. So you mentioned keeping it locked up, and so that way kids can't get to it.
For my kids,
so,
I don't.
My family has a lot of firearms. My extended family also has a lot of firearms. I grew up handling them. I was taught at a very young age gun safety.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's way more important than keeping it locked up and away from them, because God forbid they ever do get their hands on it. Then it's like, ooh, what's this? This is a toy. Versus you show them what it is. You take them out. You show them gun safety. They know, unless you're ready to shoot, never put your finger on the trigger. Always make sure it's not loaded when you pick it up, and how to check and how to do all these things, because then when they see it, it's not going to be a curiosity thing. It's going to be, right. Oh, I know what this is. I also am trained on the safety, and my family has never had a single issue, and any other family that I know like that hasn't either. It's kids are curious, and especially like if you have boys, like. A gun's kind of cool. You had like a Star Wars blaster or a water gun. Like that's just, a boy thing. So if they see that, they're going to be like, oh, what's this? Let me grab it. Let me play with it, And if they know gun safety and it's not like something new to them, it's not going to be a problem that you'll ever have to worry about. Not saying not to have a gun safe. I have a safe sitting on my desk next to me, which some of mine are in. But on top of that, though, if someone breaks into your house, you're not going to have time to run to your safe, open the safe, pull it out, load it, all of that stuff. So like my dad, at least when I was a kid, they all stayed in the safe with the exception of the one that he had, and he just carried it on him, or, he had a place in his room to stash it where it was easily accessible. There's plenty of times where my dad had, guns left out around the house, and it was never oh, let me go play with this thing, because I knew and I was educated. And there was never, an issue. Obviously don't leave it hanging around small children.
Oh, of course.
But
not
I
to be visible.
I do think if that's the route you're going to go, that you do need to be like, hey kids, this is what this is. You need to take your safety courses, do what you need to do, but then all the knowledge that you gain from that, transfer that onto your kids in the event that they ever were to come across it. It's not, let me play with this.
Yeah. I mean, I think my 13-year-old, he's well, he's not like that. And my 18-year-old, she's in college, so she's has we give her a pepper spray. That's all she has, in case of something happens, because she's not allowed to take it inside of her college campuses, so she just keeps it in the car.
Yeah.
So, and it was, and I gave it to her thinking that it was okay that she could carry it even in school. And they're like, no, the school's like, no, you can't have that in here. I was like, well, what happens if she gets jumped by some guys or whatever, some girls? Nowadays these people don't fight fair. It's like 7 against 1. And she never had any issues. She never got into any fights in school. But I was like, man.
Yeah,
overprotective, in some sense, so
it's funny that you say that, because if you think of where most of like mass shootings or bad events happen, it's schools, clubs, and concerts. The 3 places you're not allowed to have a firearm.
It's so true.
And so even if you look at states, like Chicago and California are probably 2 of the states with the strictest gun laws. Look at their crime and murder rates compared to other states, like Texas or Wisconsin or even Florida. Florida has constitutional carry. So, if you wanted to, you don't have to go get a license. You could go and you could apply for a firearm, and as long as you get approved and you can conceal that firearm under your clothes, you can just carry it. You don't need a concealed carry license. And in some other states you do. But in Florida you don't. And, most people don't go around in Florida starting, random problems with strangers. People tend to mind their business, and for good reason. Most people are packing.
Oh, yeah, I think they're like, wait 1 second. I'm carrying one, but probably 10 people, other people around me, they all have one as well.
No, literally, there's a guy who works in my plaza, and he's ex-military, but he keeps 2 AR-15s in his trunk at all times, and he has a pistol that he carries on him. And we had a threat one day. Someone threatened to come like shoot up the like the mall plaza for the store that I run. And he was just like, all right, well, I'm ready. Just went out to his car and was like waiting at work. I was like, oh geez. But then nothing ever happened. Like it was just like someone just called and like threatened and then never actually came. But it's
trying to do a stupid prank and play around, being a goofballs.
Probably, but the point is people don't do that because there's always someone somewhere, that's like that.
Wow.
So I think it makes it safer. They've been talking a lot lately about certain schools like high schools allowing teachers to carry firearms.
Yeah.
It's been pretty controversial, but I think it's a good idea. But I think you just really need to vet the teachers.
Now, do you believe that schools should have metal detectors for the students? Because a lot of these kids coming in, I mean, they're minors, they're not allowed to have them, and some are coming in to shoot somebody or bully or whatever, and they coming in with a hidden gun, and it just causes like a whole bunch of turmoil. I mean, craziness. So I was thinking, you know what? They should have metal detectors for these students. Have them scan by and see if they have a weapon on them. Probably avoid so much of these kids being tempted to bring a weapon into school.
I think it would help kind of, but not really. I mean, kids hop the fence to school all the time, and they're skipping class, leaving to and from. So I don't think it would solve the problem. I definitely think it'd be a deterrent. It's the world has changed a lot. I don't know when like that became like an acceptable thing to do. It's kind of like I don't know, like the whole school shooting thing just doesn't make sense to me. But I definitely think they do. Like, I like the whole teachers carrying firearms.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not opposed to metal detectors. Because like I was enrolled in Monarch High School at the time, which is in Coral Springs.
Hmm.
This is like when the Parkland shooting happened.
Oh, snap.
And Parkland is like really close. Really, like it was within 20 minutes of like my school, I think.
Mm.
Somewhere around there. But so that shooting had a huge effect on a lot of people that I know, because I had friends who were mutual friends with people at Parkland High who got shot. Um, and it was a scary time, man, to be to be at school. Like after that, I started going home. Like I didn't even want to go to school. Any time that there was like any type of suspicion about someone doing that, I just wouldn't even show up to school. It wasn't worth it. I would like we had a bomb threat one time, and I just hopped the fence and went home. They had all the students like gather out in the field, and
Yeah.
I was like, dude, if the school's gonna blow up, I'm not standing next to it. Are you crazy?
Yeah,
And
like what the heck?
yeah,
Yeah.
I just hopped the fence and I skated home. I was like, hell no, I don't want nothing to do with this. So,
I
um,
don't blame you.
but yeah, it definitely, like, I don't know. They need to do something to deter
Yeah.
that from happening. And I think the actual way to solve it is giving the teachers guns. Like,
Well, I agree with you that's been a big talk. When my stepdaughter was going in high school, I mean, she was like, "Oh, another bomb threat, another bomb threat." And I'm like, "Okay, this is a joke now. What the heck is going on here?" Either they're doing, or they saying that because they want to cut class, or they don't want to take an exam, or what. But she had multiple, like in a month, I had like in within the space of 3 months, like 3 bomb threats. And I was like, this is crazy. So I was like, you know what? They need to put metal detectors. You're gonna come in, cross in, BB. We're here. We're gonna check and have have teachers and or police. Just check, because there's always a police officer. I notice now in a lot of the public schools and all the schools, there's one officer always there. Just have them check it out, because it's just like it's getting ridiculous sometimes, out of hand. If there was a metal detector, I kind of like, okay, feel a little bit more safe. And I know how it is. It's like my grandfather used to say, whoever invented the lock also invented the key. So which this is gonna open. Whoever invented that lock is also invented the key. So he knows how to open that lock. You may not know how to, but he invented the key as well. So they're going to try to figure out a way how to sneak in something. They're going to try, but still, I think that will deter. That'll probably lower down the possibilities. Now with cameras and there's a gun detector, it's gonna, alarm is gonna sound. So, oh man, that's crazy. It's a crazy world. So yeah, man. Talking about all those goodies with Battlefield and all these guns and weapons. So, yeah, man, I'm gonna say goodbye to all this stuff with esports, man. I'm fed up with it, to be really honest, man. And that's why I kind of like brought you over, because I know you're the best person to talk to about this stuff. I know a lot of my listeners out there, they're probably wondering what the heck, what happened? Why are you quitting? Why are you saying goodbye to this? I'm gonna be really honest, man. It's a lot of these players, not all. A lot of these players are freaking egos and their attitudes. I think they're just too young. You'll talk to them. I had a lot of people say, yes, I'll be on your pod. We'll set up a schedule, date and everything. And then it's like, dude, I'm waiting for you. Is that time that you said that it was okay with you. And they'll get back to me like another day. Like, oh, dude, I'm so sorry, man. I was just out doing something. Okay, when can you do it tomorrow? Yeah, I could do it tomorrow then. Comes out that day. Oh, dude, I'm sorry. So then I talked to a good buddy of mine, Seth. He was the manager for Team Sonics, and he told me, dude, they're just freaking trolling. I said, seriously? He says, yeah, trolling. That's trolling. And I was like, okay. So then I was noticing like there was a pattern of, they would just troll. They would say yes. And I was like, you know what? Why I'm going to put up with this? Why I'm going to help out an industry that, half of them are really cool and half of them, their egos are just way too freaking disgusting. And they're just rude. A lot of these guys, I know so much pro players are so humble. And to be honest, the ones that are humble are the ones that came onto my pod. They're the humble people. All these pros and everybody that came on the podcast, they're all phenomenal. I recommend all of them. But there's some that I don't even want to mention their name because they don't deserve to have their name mentioned. That are former pros. They're just big streamers. They got their name out there. They're freaking rude. They're just like disgusting, and if you're famous, I'm your friend. If you're not famous, I'm not your friend. That's how they are. And it comes to the point, Christian, that I'm just done with it. You know what? Screw you. I don't care. I'd rather do something else and just move on. So now I'm doing, this a political podcast with my father, which is a good thing. Now it gives me build this relationship with him that I lost for so many years. And, we just do that now, and I'm just having, a lot of fun with it, and I totally like it now. So yeah, man. And I've been complaining about it for quite some time. It's like these guys, a lot of these pros and famous streamers, it's their freaking ego. It's their freaking egos. There's one person, it's so funny. I want to mention his name so bad, but I just can't. Because I know the owner that he plays for the organization. I know the owner, and it was a really nice guy. But this one told me, out of all the freaking pros, he told me, "Oh, I could come onto your pod, but can you talk to this guy? He's kind of like an agent for me." I'm like, seriously, dude? So wait 1 second. We could play together. We could be on Discord. You could stream and I could stream. Stream all we want and we could talk. But for a podcast to talk, you can't? I need to go through this guy? He goes, yeah, just see what he says. I said, listen, you know what? It's like, I tried and a couple of times I said, you know what? Forget about it. Don't worry about it. Peace. See you. Take care. If you need a mommy and daddy, then don't get into this business. If you can't go on a podcast to talk, have a freaking conversation. I mean, seriously, you need a mommy and daddy to tell you. Screw you. See ya. Don't need you, man. As a matter of fact, ask your mommy and daddy if it's okay. Freaking grown ass man has to. I was like, nah, I'm just done with it, man. I really am done with it. I stick with my good friends that have been there for me, like Packer, and other people, Seth, all these other guys. Like I said, everybody that came on my pod, they're phenomenal people. These are the humble, the greatest. These are legends into this esports. All of them were really, really nice folks. But there's some owners like CEOs and, COOs that are just completely jerks. I had one that that told me, yeah, I'll come onto your podcast. Oh, yeah, sure, not a problem. And we'll DM each other back and forth. And he says, well, I could get on this day. Let's do it. We planned it out, came in, and just freaking ghost. He'll read my messages. Hey, man, everything okay? And I see it says, boop, he read it. Past a month later, hey, everything is cool. You think we could set this up? And I told him I have availability. Nothing. It's like, this guy just a freaking douche. He's probably listening to this. You know what? You know who you am I talking to. Don't worry about it. Freaking ending the podcast. You don't have to worry about it no more.
Look, man,
Screw
that's
you, man.
like I think that's just how most of the world works, unfortunately. Like
Yeah.
it's even like and that's in everything. There are professional skateboarders who are like fully pro, have their own board, who I am a much better skater than.
Mm-hmm.
Which means they don't deserve to be pro, but they're pro. There are
Yeah.
like there's a huge contest called Tampa Am and Tampa Pro, and it's
Mm-hmm.
one of the biggest skate contests every year. If you win Tampa Am, you immediately become a pro skateboarder. It's pretty much how it happens for anyone who wins.
Yeah.
The moment you win, some company just like, all right, you're pro now. And one of my buddies, he skated in it, and I think he got like 48th place or something. It was out of like 200 people, and he landed every trick in his run, and he was doing really hard tricks that a lot of other people don't do. Like he has a couple tricks that like most people don't do, and no one does as well as him. And then he could also do those tricks into grinds, which is like even more insane. And he had a phenomenal run, and he got 48th place. And the guy who got like third missed like 8 tricks in his run. He landed like 3 things. And as he was leaving the contest, the judges pulled him aside. This is like 2013. And he's like leaving the contest. The judges pull him aside, and they're like, hey, like he was sponsored by Monster Energy, the energy drink company.
Mm-hmm.
And they pulled him aside and were like, listen, like all that Monster stuff you're wearing, that's like not cool, bro. Like don't wear that shit next time. And so he got
What the
scored
heck?
badly because he was riding for Monster Energy, and skateboarding has always been like anti-culture. We hate, like we skateboarders try to do like their own thing, which is not like what everyone else does. And so we like the core skate community doesn't like corporate things. So like there's a skate shop called Zoomies that's like every skater hates Zoomies because it's like corporate. Anyway, Monster Energy had sponsored him, and that was like a corporate company. And this is before skateboarders were getting like multi-million-dollar deals from like Red Bull and Monster and Rockstar, all those companies, you know. So it was looked down on, and so they judged him. And if you go watch the Tampa Pro contests and Tampa Am contests from the last 2 years, they have Monster Energy, the logo, on every single ramp, on every wall. It's during the video, they're having promos for it. Like it's ridiculous, but it's really, that's how it is, dude. Like it's all about who you know.
Yeah.
And who you're connected to,
sucks.
and you either like you're either favored, like that guy who got third place who missed a bunch of stuff, or you're not, and you do really, really well, and it doesn't really matter. And that's one of those things where like you gotta push through it long enough until it works, because it ain't gonna be easy, or you give up, and you gotta find something new to pursue. And you just got to know when that line is.
Yeah.
I've tried to do multiple different business ideas, and if it's you invest 100% into it, or you don't. And if you're not giving it 100%, you should give up. But if you're putting 100% into it, and you've been doing it consistently for like long enough to actually see whether there should be any kind of improvement in results or not, then if you have to give up, you have to give up.
Listen, Yeah, there was one thing that always kind of bugged me, and I'm gonna say it here. I invited so many people, so many pro players onto your Discord, and a lot of them joined in. Tons of them. Now, out of all those, who was the one that played with you? Who was the only one that played with you?
Packer played with me a good bit. There was like two or three of them, but Packer was the main one.
It was the main one.
But like
The
I
main
didn't.
pro.
It's I don't I yeah, but like
You understand what I
don't
mean?
no I don't take that personally. Like you got to
Well, I
understand.
know.
Look, am I good at Rainbow Six Siege?
Yes,
Yes.
you're a champion player.
I've
You've been
been
phenomenal.
I've been I played competitive Rainbow Six Siege years 1 through 3, you know? And then I took a little break from Siege. I had a lot of life stuff going on. And I came back and then I played competitive. So I played year 1 and 2 for two different teams. One was Havoc and one was Technique. And then as I came back to Siege, I had met you, and you were running your own team. You weren't playing, Kingsman,
Correct.
and we had an A team and a B team, and the A team was really good. The B team also was really good. I actually still play with some of the guys from both of the teams today. We still talk too. But I played for you. I think that was what year 5 and 6 maybe. And then took another little break, and then now I'm playing PC, and I've been Diamond Champ every season since I started playing PC. But I forget where I was going with this.
Yeah, we're talking about these guys that play with you out of all the people that were on your
but yeah, I
Discord.
don't like.
Yeah.
Yes. So the point of that is that's my experience with Siege. Yes, I'm good. Yes, I have a lot of experience playing at the highest level in the game, but I don't play competitively anymore. I haven't played consistently in a good bit. I'm still good enough to hit champ, but playing with pros, it's a different game, and even competition is completely different than playing ranked. So I hadn't
Yeah.
played competition like competitive Siege in 3 years, and I'm also just switching to PC. I'm playing on a laptop with a tiny screen, and I'm getting 90 FPS playing with pros who have professional setups and play the game consistently all the time. And it's just not, I'm not the best fit for that. It's not, competitive Siege is not ranked.
Yeah.
It's two completely different, games. And so yeah, I don't blame them. I don't take it personally. It doesn't bother me. I was like, if they want to play and fucking boost me
Yeah,
in
but they.
ranked and drop 16
Yeah.
kills every game, sweet. But if not, I have plenty of people who to play ranked with, and it never really bothered me. It never took me personally, and like I don't know, I don't care.
Yeah, but they'd be playing, custom matches and 5v5s, with their own friends, and
Yeah, and I didn't want to
they
do that.
could have, and it just kind of like it just bugged me. It was like, I say, hey, can you invite him? Yeah, we'll invite him. I'll invite him after this match and all this and that, and they never did. And it was like, you know what, screw you. It's just stuff that just stuck to me and kind of bugged me, and I was like, you know what,
Yeah.
some of my stuff, man, even in the pro scene, there's stuff that I seen. Like one of my friends that it was a semi-pro in Halo and never got picked up because buddies recruiting buddies. It's just a disgusting
Well,
business, and that was to the point I
well,
was like, man, they should just have our own. These orgs should just have their own. This is my opinion. These orgs should have their own recruiters recruiting the players. I mean, if the
but that's not.
NFL, NBA have it, they don't do it like that.
Unfortunately, though, that's how most things work. It's the world is all about who you know, and people are gonna do what they want to do regardless of what you say, and it's it's just one of those things where I take it as it is what it is. I don't
Yeah.
I don't have time, at least for me, to waste like my time or energy on, other people's like stuff. If they want to do what they want to do, it is what it is, and I can't like I would never like waste my time being upset that like the guys you invited to my Discord not inviting me, because it doesn't affect my day at all. I have a lot going on, dude. I'm
Yeah.
pursuing skateboarding, I'm
Yeah, I
working,
know.
I have life, and like at the end of the day, like these aren't like they're people that yes, but like they don't owe you anything, and you don't owe them anything,
Yeah.
So
But man, out of the token of appreciation, I mean of decency, hey, I mean they came on. I didn't force them to come on. I said, hey, can you come on, help him out? He's a good guy. He's a phenomenal person you can play with, and and they said sure, 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 and it was just ghosted afterwards, and I was just like, okay, that's really uncool, But it is what it is. That's how a lot of these people are. I mean, Packer's always been very humble, really nice guy, and I could always count on him. He's still today. He's very phenomenal and deserves the best. So it is, and I'm gonna be really honest. One of the most humble, other professional. I mean, phenomenal, a big streamer that has 8 million followers on Twitch. I mean, that's Summit 1G, and him and we've been back and forth for the longest time, for over a year. We keep on DMing each other. Hey, what's up? How's everything? Super humble. Came on my pod. I say, listen, I'm not a really big podcaster. I mean, I'm doing pretty good, decent. I have listeners now over a certain amount of countries. When he came on, then my record, I think, from 45 listeners on 50 countries. So it was really cool. And he was just like really humble, really nice, really nice. And he played with a buddy of mine. He just didn't care. He just about to have fun. It's like, what's the big deal? Let's have fun, So it is a bittersweet thing, and I'm very thankful for Wildcard. They picked me up to do stuff for them, and they were a phenomenal organization, and I'm truly grateful with Wildcard, and that kind of really opened up the doors for me, and they were out there. They helped me out. They were really cool. So I would interview some of their players and stuff like that, and it was pretty neat. So, but then afterwards, then I left on my own. We left on good terms. It was nothing or whatever people might have assumed. But then I just, said, I'm going to go on my journey on my own, see how this goes, and see if I really want to continue this. And then, now today is the last final day, man. It's coming to an end. I have to say goodbye to it.
Well, it's okay, man. You got to think, you just got to stay positive about it. I think that I truly believe everything happens for a reason. And
Yeah.
this chapter will close so a new one can open, So
Yep.
Instead of focusing on the door that's closing on you, look for the doors that are opening for you, because there's going to be something out there for you that's going to be way better than, this ever could have been.
Correct, man. Well, brother Christian, thank you so much for coming on. I'm just happy that you're that final guest, and a lot of people, these celebrities, when they have their late night shows, or they always bring their favorite or their best friend for their last episode. So I said, you know what, I had you in my mind, and I was like, let's get you on. So I waited for several months for this. So thank you so much, man. Thank you. I truly appreciate it. tell everybody around the world where they can find you on Instagram. I know skateboarders are not on X that much, so the majority they're all on Instagram or other platforms. Let everybody know your socials.
My Instagram is Chris_Bolts, BOLTS. That's really the only social media that I use. So if you wanna check it, see it there.
There you guys have it. Check them out. Okay, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, as final goodbyes. I mean, I don't know if an organization reach out to me or somebody say, "Hey, I want you to continue. We'll pay you or whatever." Then let's see. I mean, who knows? But I highly doubt it. That's going to happen. So it's time to say goodbye. I wish everybody a bright future. God bless you. Thank you for being loyal listeners and for being there for the podcast, the Esports Lounge podcast. Thank you so much. Through ups and downs, we've been there. Thank you. Well, folks, take care. God bless. Peace.